AEW World Championship picture. You've got Samoa Joe defending his title, the AEW World Championship, against Adam Page and against Swerve Strickland. Triple threat match. Tyler, what do you think? What did you think of the build of this? How did they bring it home yesterday in your eyes? And who do you think walks out as champion?
Yeah, interesting segment. I like the after effects of it. I mean, I like Joe and Swerve, and then Page was weird, and then kind of came all the way around on what he was doing. So I like that he's now a heel. I mean, at least in my mind, you know, that can always change unless there's consistency in the character. But if he's aligned with the Bucks at the end of this pay-per-view, I think that's a smart decision. And you know, who knows what could Kenny be the Page character then if he's able to come back fully? I think that'd be an interesting twist to that whole dynamic, or as a heel again, whatever. But yeah, I just, you know, I liked it. I like the redefinition of the character. Swerve, definitely a babyface. Page, definitely a heel. And with, you know, it gave me that, you know, not that I'm like the Tony Khan whisperer, but I certainly think he's going to make Swerve Strickland the world champion soon. I just don't think he's ready to do it. And that's what this whole segment was, of like, if this was going to be a singles match between Joe and Swerve, it felt like Swerve had to win. And then to reestablish that's a triple threat tells you that Page is going to screw over or do something stupid and get pinned by Joe to screw over Swerve so he doesn't take the loss here. And then kind of reestablish the scene. We'll have Joe wrestle Wardlow. Spoiler on that match on the card. And, you know,
you love that one. You just love that.
Yeah. Who knows, you know, what Swerve does after that. But, you know, I think that was all established here. And in a, you know, 7.5 out of 10 segment, I like that they opened the show with a promo and talking and all that stuff. So I liked it pretty good overall.
Yeah, man, I like the build to the match overall. I did not like what they did last night. I thought the swerve with Page was just so silly. I just don't think that's how you build like good heat, like for if you're turning heel, and so I thought a lot was off of it because of that reason. Like, you had Page come out there faking an injury with a crutch or whatever. He says that he's not going to be wrestling, only for Swerve to come out, and then he gets attacked. And so it's like I'm not too much of a stickler on like little details like that, but this one stood out as in, okay, so if Swerve didn't come out, then you just would have just taken a back seat, like you're just not going to wrestle like on the pay-per-view. I didn't like that disconnect at all. I also thought that, you know, Swerve and Page have been like at each other's throats for so long. And I don't think that they're painting Swerve as a babyface now, which is good, to your point. But I don't think that they've gone down that road enough to where, you know, Hangman beating up Page is all that like heat worthy, if for lack of a better word, because they've beat each other up for weeks and weeks and months and set each other on fire and drank each other's blood. I mean, like, they've done everything. And so, and it's like, all right, so now though, we're supposed to like believe that, like, you know, Hangman's this big bad heel because he like hit him with a crutch. Like, okay. Like, I mean, these guys almost killed each other multiple times. But it's the crutch that like sends it over the edge. Like, I didn't like that. And I guess just fundamentally, like, if they would have done this 3 weeks ago, I think I'm a little bit less annoyed by it and just kind of like, okay, another chapter here. But as they go home, like, I think just it would have been more efficient to just have Swerve out or Page out there talking about winning the title. You could do the exact same thing with Swerve. He can cut the same promo as he did pretty much. And because that emphasizes the title as well. Joe can come out. No, I'm the champion. He can cut almost the same promo there too. Like, you just didn't need that Swerve to land, to me, in the exact same spot that you would have. So I've pushed back argue your point back at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you if not for the Swerve context of what he's talking about in that
the Swerve
promo,
character or the Swerve moment.
Yeah, Swerve character. Swerve
okay.
Strickland. Shane Strickland. I get
Shane Strickland.
The Shane of it all. Him in there saying, did you ever watch Dragon Ball Z?
I did not. I have not.
Okay. But you know the character names, I assume, like Goku.
I do. I know well some of them.
Like
some
Vegeta is the other the fan favorite guy.
Yeah.
So me, again, I like to do like mythology or like anime or superhero movies in the context of wrestling, right? Because they're all kind of the same storytelling mechanism. To me, what Swerve Strickland is doing in this promo is like, hey, we battled and we've ripped each other limb from limb. We almost killed each other. And in that time, like while also now we're going up against this unstoppable force in Samoa Joe, where that could be added a little bit more in context here, I think, by Swerve in this promo, but that's what my interpretation was. Okay. That through battling and in this moment together with Paige, like he went after him because he respected him as this legendary fighter and of AEW, and he got on his level. He learned what it took to get there through facing Paige, right? He didn't say these exact words, but that's what he's getting at, right? That's why he's framed as a babyface now. And through this battle with, like now, he was hoping that they would be able to maybe not team up against Joe, but be in this fight together. He was interested to see how that went because he thought, his character thought Paige was out of this. So Paige, to turn on him the way he did, right, is the story of that's the turn right there, right? And you didn't like the machinations of it, but I saw what they were going for, and I liked it. It just kind of reminds me of, like if Swerve is Vegeta and Paige was Goku, and it's an alternate universe, right, where they were going to team up. Swerve was the bad guy, Paige was the good guy. That's not how the story went in Dragon Ball Z, but it's that like those bitter rivals coming together to fight a bigger power, and the one rival then turning on their back. I mean, I could get like in detail here with you on when this exactly happened in that show, and the characters are different, but like that's what was going here, and I like that aspect of it. Especially he treats Joe like the big bad that he is, and continues to value that title, and explains why Swerve went on the journey that he went on. That's what I mean. It's like last night it's Joe, it's Swerve, and it's Hangman, right, in the execution of their promos and their characters and all that stuff. So. Yes, I agree. It's tough.
Did they land that though? Like I guess maybe I missed it, but I didn't get the sense that like this was that they really got like Swerve and Hangman on the, that hey, we're on the same page here, going after Joe thing. It was more like, to me, it was more like, yeah, I'm Joe and I'm gonna whip these two, and that's it. Like and like
I just like I don't
know
the mutual respect thing that Swerve was laying out to Paige because. He didn't say like, "Hey, buddy, you're out," but I want to tell you, like, I wish you were in this match. You didn't say that exactly, but that's what he's saying, right, in that promo.
Yeah.
So, you could add on those layers, which I think would have been helpful as always. That's probably why you have a writing staff or a writer with a group and be like, "Hey, I assume this is what you're going for when you lay out this promo to me. Here's like 3 things I would add to convey that to a broader audience of what you're trying to say and why it's going to be more dastardly for Paige to then turn on you." And get a better effect, and have 2 jabronis on YouTube say it was better than I thought it was. So that's me adding context. I do like the characters, like where this is going. So your take is probably more correct for the broader audience, but I see what they were going for. I don't think they landed it completely. Paige specifically, it's the problem with having a triple threat match too, though, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense for Paige to turn on him in match. Unless you do it where Joe is not part of the ultimate decision of what happens, or you do like the WWE thing where Swerve's going to win and then Paige. We can't have 2 guys working together against one guy in a triple threat match for a world title. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so they booked themselves match wise into a tough way to get Paige over as a heel, because in the context of the match, like, is that a heel move to try and beat both guys? No. So I think to convey that, they had to do it here, and it could have been done better, but I picked up what they put down personally.
Hey, for effort, I mean, it makes sense when you spit it out that way. I don't know, a more straightforward approach would have been my favorite. Super chats. Let's get into some of those. Matt BRM, let's go. Yeah,
Berm.
let's go, Berm. Thank you, Matt. Glad you're here, man. Appreciate the contribution. Zach, my friend, I take issue with this super chat. I do. I really do. Thank you for making it, though. I appreciate that you're watching us live and supporting what we do, and it means a lot. So thank you. But Zach says here, anyone aware of Page's situation knew immediately when he was limping down the ramp that he wasn't out of the match. If you bought it, that's on you. So now wait a minute here. Hold on. I got to pump the brakes because they wanted you to buy it. That's why they wrote it this way. I mean, they wanted you to buy it. This was not, and if it was anything else other than that, then it's even worse than I outlined it to be. Like, they wanted you to buy this. Like, Adam Page said out loud that he was going to not be wrestling at Revolution in the title match. So, like, there wasn't anything to take away from the limping because he said it, like, straight up. So, Zach, no, I think if you bought it, like, that's why they did it. They did it so that people would buy the angle and so that there'd be heat in the swerve. Like, so they wanted people to buy it. It's not on anybody. That was the goal. The point here is, was it worth it? And did it accomplish like the goal at hand? And I don't think that it did. Tyler thought that it did. You clearly think that it did. And that's cool. But buying it and that being like on you, no. I think that's the wrong perspective to take on this, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Mr. Haydorn, that, you want the general audience to be with the characters more often than not on a lot of this stuff, right? Like when you're watching the WrestleMania press conference thing, like, did we think that The Rock was going to, slap Cody and Cody was going to come out and do all that? I mean, we wanted it to, but we didn't think it was because of all the meta stuff, right? So you got to kind of combat that from time to time. Right. And yeah, like ideally it gets reported that Paige is hurt and it doesn't get reported that it's a work, right? And then, so this is a big moment where the audience thinks it's just going to be Swerve and Joe, and then Paige hits a big move and goes from there, right? And that's what, I don't know, more than half probably. I got tricked on the show last week when we were talking about this. I thought Paige was actually hurt because I wasn't up to date on my reporting by the minute, right? So it's just one of those things that, probably if there's 800,000 people watching, 380,000 probably are that up on it and that into it, right? But there's 500,000 people that aren't. So, you want that to be, you don't want everyone to be like super in the know about every single thing that's going on, right? If you did want that, you would say like CM Punk doesn't have the title anymore because he got in a backstage altercation. You wouldn't just be like, all right, and here's a tournament.
Yeah,
enjoy.
Right.
Is there better ways to combat that? Probably so. Don't leak it that it's a work and have everyone actually be buttoned up on that story if you're going to do that. But that's probably more a talent issue than a storytelling issue.
And there's just too many swerves too. I mean, like I just
probably why.
Go ahead.
Probably why Tony Khan doesn't trust Adam Page as a world champion level guy.
Yeah.
If you track that, like, I think Tony Khan, this is my guess, that Tony Khan's a guy who's like, he's a guy that's like a company. Have you ever worked for a company that like unlimited PTO?
Yes.
Like currently. Okay. If you do more than 2 weeks though,
then frowned upon.
Yeah. So Tony Khan feels like that kind of guy where it's like, oh, hey, you got a big story about you and I know you're having a kid. Cool. You're going to go do that. And I'm not saying that's retaliation against like taking paternity leave. I do not advocate for that. But that character, ever since that moment, has not been trusted in the same way that it was before. And that's just my guess. As so and stuff like this where that leaked so quickly, like
real quick.
Like that's like, what is who gains from that? And I don't know what that is, but and me and Michael Jordan is on. But yeah, so anyway, sorry, that's just like, I've always thought that about Paige, and it just like kind of re-solidified here that his character has been treated at a certain level as well.
Yeah.
I think that doesn't help to be like petty like that. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's a good point. It's a totally fair point. And a good point. Sean says the Swerve Hangman Joe segment was fine. Swerve was over, but not over enough last night to put the title on him in a 3-way. I think Joe should retain. So that's Sean's opinion. Zach has a different one. If Swerve doesn't win the title on Sunday, when is he going to win it? With Will Ospreay and Okada in the mix? Strike while the iron is hot. Whose house? Swerve's house. Thank you, Zach and Sean. Thank you so much for the contribution. Really appreciate that. So that's what some of our super chatters have to say. What do you think, Tyler? Who wins this thing, and where do they? What happens to the other two?
Yeah, I think Joe wins. I personally would put it on Swerve at this point. I think you just go with it because you risk putting him in that spot and turning him into Adam Cole, Jay White, that got to that point and then were never the same after that point because you don't know how to book them after the ascent to the world title scene. So that concerns me as a viewer. Like, if Swerve does lose, you better have like a super hot angle with, I don't know, if Christian loses, like him and Christian better be having a promo battle on Wednesday night to remain a hot force, or he should be, I don't know. There's lots of options, but so that's why I would put it on Swerve just to do it, and then but I do think Joe's going to win because just that's how Tony Khan books. He's already booked the Wardlow Joe match. I mean, that is a fact based on what we've seen with the promo, the stipulation that Wardlow's matches in, etc. So that tells me all you need to know, right? But one thing on the Swerve, when will he win with Okada, Ospreay coming in, is look at the non-CM Punk big name signings that have come into the company and how Tony Khan books. CM Punk is the only guy who's gotten the title in a quick succession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe was never really supposed to be the champion. Everyone else are OGs, right? Am I missing anyone on that? No. So not that you can do that forever, but you might have one of them in the title scene, but he does not book in a way that is like Okada and Joe, and Okada's going to beat Joe, be the champion, right? If Swerve won, I don't think that it would be Okada and Ospreay Swerve and Ospreay, and that would be the thing you heat up for, right? I just think that he's got a plan in this place at his world title scene, and he's proven that if people are not injured, not derailed, that there's a story to tell here where Joe beats Hangman because Hangman did something stupid as a heel, or Hangman screwed over Swerve and broke up the pin that Swerve would have won. You tell the story. Joe then beats Wardlow. Then you do Joe Swerve one-on-one at Double or Nothing, or the April show if you want to do that, and probably Double or Nothing because that's a bigger show. Swerve is the champion then throughout the summer. MJF comes back. You've got Okada. You've got Ospreay. They're all doing their own sort of stuff, and that's how he's going to book his world title scene. So I just think if you're doing like a over-under, like will Ospreay or Kazuchika Okada be the world champion in 2024, either of them? I would say no, personally. But I think that's more of a late 24 or 25 all in at the earliest for either of those guys. So that still gives you a big window for a Swerve title reign. And that would be equal to the Joe title reign, right? How long's Joe been champion? Since November? Or late December?
When did he win it? Did he win it at Full Gear? Or did
December,
he win it at,
right?
Was it the World's End pay-per-view? Yeah, it was like almost, yep.
Yeah, so he's been champion for 2 months. So if he goes to May, let's say, that's 5 months. You go May to August, not the same amount of time, but maybe Ospreay takes him on and whatever, right? There's a million things you could do here. Doesn't matter. We're going to fantasy book the whole year for the world title scene, but there's plenty of time that if Swerve Strickland is one of your top 3 guys in the company, like, is he not when Okada, who's going to be not full-time, let's be honest with ourselves here, you're not going to see him on TV every week, right? I don't think. I don't know what you think.
I don't know.
Ospreay, And Ospreay is living in the UK, so he's already complaining about his bags being lost on TV. That doesn't bode well if I'm Tony Khan for using him every week. So we'll see. I mean, how many times with AEW especially have we, like, as a collective group said like, okay, this person will be champion. Then this, like, things happen too. Like anything can happen. So I just do not think it's like, hey, it's cleared out. Okada and Ospreay are going to be our next two champions. So no one after Joe, no one's going to be champion until, December of 26. That's just not how it's going to work.